What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing my 1-year review of the PS5, and I know I am a little bit late on this, but I want to do it anyway. We're going to be going over the design of the console, the DualSense, the 3D audio, the games, and a few other things. And as I was recording this video, we got news that Microsoft acquired a whole bunch of studios. So we're going to be looking into the future of the PS5, and we're going to discuss whether or not it's a need, a want, or just a straight up skip. So without any further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so first up we're going to be talking about the design and the look of the console. Right off the bat, this console is huge. You're definitely going to find a hard time finding a spot for this thing. Thankfully you can set it in two ways, either vertically or horizontally. If you want to set it vertically, all you have to do is pop in the screw which you find in a stand, and then you're ready to go. And yes, I am screwing this in with a butter knife. If you want to set it horizontally, all you have to do is take the stand, snap it in on the back, and you're good to go. I really enjoy the look of this console. It has this futuristic look that we haven't really seen before, and it's one of those things that's going to stand out in your TV unit. On either side of the console, we have a white shell that easily comes off, and I'll show you how to do it in just a moment. Down the middle, we have this glossy black finish, which I'm not a huge fan of because it gets smudged easily. Moving down the black strip, we see that there are a ton of vents, and we eventually come across a USB port, a USB-C, eject button, and the power button. Moving to the back, we see that there are even more vents. Now this was specifically addressing the issue that the PS4 had, which was it sounded like it was about to take off and it overheated way too easy. Moving down, we find that we got two more USB ports, an Ethernet port, HDMI 2.1, and the power port. Taking off the shells is simple. All you gotta do is grab the PlayStation logo side, lift up and push downwards. At the same time, use your opposite hand to support the console. Just be careful when you're doing this for the first time. You might have a little bit of difficulty and end up scuffing your console like I did. You're gonna copy the same procedure for the other side. You're gonna grab the opposite end of the disk drive, lift up and push downwards, and use your opposite hand to support the console. Now over here we have an extended SSD storage slot. When the console first launched, this wasn't actually active. It only came later on in a patch. But be careful, not all SSDs will work. The PlayStation 5 has certain requirements that need to be met. Now that the shells are off, you can easily remove any dust buildup. To put them back on, it's even easier. All you gotta do is line up the grooves and you just push up. All in all, I love the design and look of this console. It keeps the console from overheating because how many vents there are, and you have the opportunity to put it vertically or horizontally. The UI is very simple and clean. When you hover over a game, the music and the artwork pop up, which I love because it hypes me up. You remember this thing called cards? Well, yeah, I forgot about them too. Sony was really pushing this when they were launching the PlayStation 5. And to be honest, I haven't really used them. The one and only time I did use them was for Demon's Souls, but that was about it. Another thing I think people forgot about is the PS Plus collection. This launched with the PS5 and it gave us a bunch of PS4 games to play. But ever since launch, they haven't added anything to it. On the other hand, PlayStation Plus's free games each month have gotten a lot better. Another thing that was pushed at launch was 3D audio, and as of now, it only works with headphones and TV speakers. One thing to note is you can adjust the 3D audio in the settings. When implemented correctly, it sounds phenomenal. Some games that come to mind are Astro's Playroom, Returnal, and Ratchet & Clank. But other than that, there isn't really much of a difference. Alright guys, this controller right here is truly something special. The haptic feedbacks and the adaptive trigger just takes it to the next level. One thing to keep in mind though is not all games are going to be supporting these features. Some great examples that do take full advantage of the DualSense are Demon's Souls, Ratchet & Clank, Returnal, and of course Astro's Playroom. The adaptive triggers may annoy some people, but luckily you could turn this off in the menu. Other than that, the DualSense feels great to put in your hands. When I picked up the PS3 controller, it felt like a cheap piece of plastic. When I picked up the PS4 controller, it didn't sit nicely in my hands. It felt off, especially the triggers. The DualSense fixes these issues by adding a bit more weight. The curvature of the controller allows me to grip it better, and the triggers feel really nice. One thing to note is when you're playing a PS5 game, you'll only get this white light. But if you're playing a cross-gen game or a PS4 game, you'll get this additional light around the touchpad. If you want to learn more about what the DualSense is actually doing when it's supported by games, I highly recommend checking out my top 5 video games of 2021. I play Returnal and I show you what the controller is really doing. It's actually incredible. I'll link it in the description below. I think everyone can agree that the PS5 had the best first year launch lineup of games out of any console generation. We got games such as Ratchet & Clank, Returnal, and Demon's Souls that are exclusively for the PS5. These games really showed us the potential of the PS5. Ratchet & Clank showed us its ray tracing, its use of the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback, and the overall quality of the game. Returnal was a challenging game, but it showcased what the DualSense can do, and was my big wow moment for the 3D audio. As for Demon's Souls, that was yet another challenging game, but it was beautiful. You had the option to go between performance mode and fidelity mode, and to be honest, both modes were incredible. Fidelity had that crisp looking 4K look, whereas performance had that smooth frame rate. We also got a ton of third-party and cross-gen support such as Final Fantasy Remake, Deathloop, Tales of Arise, Lost Judgment. The list literally goes on. There is definitely no shortage of games in 2021. And of course, these games that are cross-gen are getting added perks such as higher resolution, higher frame rate, and in certain cases, supporting the DualSense features. Alright, so now let's look at the immediate future of the PS5 and whether you need it or you just want it. So, the big games that come to mind are God of War, that is a cross-gen game. Horizon, cross-gen game. Elden Ring, cross-gen game. Dying Light 2, if that's your cup of tea, cross-gen game. The only big games that I can really think of that may want you to buy a PS5 is Forspoken, but even at that game doesn't really look too good. If I'm being really honest with you, it's kind of like a copy and paste of Final Fantasy 15, and if you guys played that game, you know that world is really empty. So, I don't know about that. Ghostwire Tokyo is going to be PS5 exclusive, but of course, Microsoft owns them now, so it will come to their console eventually. But other than that, I really can't think of a reason to get a PS5. It's really more of a want than a need. Yes, Returnal is an amazing game. Yes, Ratchet & Clank is an amazing game. But that's about it. Everything else you could play on last gen. So now let's look even further. As I said at the beginning of this video, Microsoft acquired a whole bunch of studios. To put that into context, the type of games that are going to be exclusive to Xbox now are Call of Duty, Overwatch, Spyro, which has been with PlayStation since the beginning, Crash Bandicoot, which has been with PlayStation since the beginning, okay, and Diablo. These are just a few of those games. So now we're kind of in a tricky situation now, right? PlayStation's future is kind of clouded in a way. You know, these games that we expected to be on the console, I believe it's in 2023 when the plan or when the acquisition is supposed to be fully done. But PlayStation has a big gap in their lineup now. Call of Duty, huge franchise, gone. Spyro, gone. Even though they're not doing much with it other than, you know, Skylanders, but meh. Crash Bandicoot, gone. It really feels like Microsoft is gearing up for the future and putting PlayStation in the past. As you may know, companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, all these companies are making games now. And it kind of feels like Microsoft is going after them. They're kind of securing these games before these bigger companies come in and swoop up everything. So the question becomes, is it worth investing in a PlayStation? Personally, I think yes. The exclusives are top notch and the DualSense is doing something special. So you're only going to get this kind of experience on PlayStation. But in the long run, I don't think that will hold them. Now, I don't believe they need to make any rash moves and just acquire whatever they can now before everything is up. No, not at all. But they're going to have to pivot. Pivot! We are seeing PlayStation gather up talent from here and there. All I know is that it feels like PlayStation is in an awkward position right now. But like I said, they're going to have a big gap in their lineup and they're going to have to fill it up with something. As I was editing this video, we got even more information about this acquisition. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer had this to say. Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship. At first glance, this sounds great, right? Call of Duty games are still going to be making it to the PlayStation platform. But if you read carefully, it doesn't say anything about new Call of Duty games. It just says they're going to honor what agreements have already been made between PlayStation and Activision. So just based off of that, we can assume that in the future, Call of Duty won't be on PlayStation anymore. You don't spend $70 million to put your exclusives on a competitor's platform. You know, back in the day, it was usually you either had a PlayStation or an Xbox and you should be fine. But now it's becoming more and more clear that if you want to play all these games, you're going to have both consoles. You know, now that I think about it, it makes sense that Xbox created the Series S. So let's continue with the thought that this generation, you're going to need both a PlayStation and an Xbox to play a wide variety of games. It now feels like the Series S is targeting those PlayStation players who don't want to pay the extra $100 for the Series X or whatever it is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's an easy way for them to get those games that are no longer on PlayStation. Like I said, it feels like Xbox is gearing up for the future. It feels like they knew from the beginning of this generation, while they're creating the Series X and S, that they were like, we're gonna buy up a whole bunch of studios, put them on Game Pass, and make it exclusive. And now it just kind of feels like PlayStation is just, again, they're putting PlayStation in the past. I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're always up to date with my videos, and I'll see you next time.